Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, am I audible? Yeah, okay. Good evening, all. Welcome to another exciting lecture on this amazing session made by the contribution of Medical Aura community. And I'm your host, Dr. Vishaka Singh. It's an extraordinary surprise for every one of you, and it's my honor to introduce our special guest for tonight, the platinum member of 3D Cleaning Project, the esteemed Dr. Vishal Gandhi, sir. And I'd like to invite our speaker, Dr. Anu ma'am, to please welcome Dr. Vishal Gandhi sir and share a few words with us.
Hello, everyone. I'm audible. Before starting my presentation on 3D cleaning, I really wanted Sir's presence today because, calling him today is of great relevance because he has taken 3D cleaning project to a great level in India. So I really wanted him to be here because before starting my presentation, also he has been my mentor for past 3 to 4 years. Like he's been inspiring me, guiding me for all endo cases, even very late at night, and responding to all my questions and doubts all the time. So I really wanted to start my presentation in his presence. So, sir, I'm happy that you are here right now.
Actually, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anu and Dr. Vishaka, right? Yeah, for the great introduction. And Dr. Anu, thank you for the invitation. It's been honor. And I think for all the participants, I mean all the audience, today you will learn something very, very, very important, at the same time very unique and the new concept for all of you, because Dr. Anu is working very hard for this, and she is going to, like, you should have a great evening. Next 30 minutes or 45 minutes will be a great time for you. So, and all the best, Dr. Anu, for your,
Thank you so much, sir.
yeah. So, cause I know you, and as you are a, before, a great speaker or a great clinician, you are a great student. That's what I believe, that you have to be a student first, so you can keep on learning each and every time whenever there is an opportunity, right? So, and this is for all the audience. Have a great time, and even if you are in any doubt, even after the session, you can ask Dr. Anu, or even you can ask me, or even you can check the 3D cleaning project on the Facebook. You will get so many this articles, you will get so many papers, or you will get so many this references for this all the techniques what Dr. Anu is going to mention in her presentation today, right? So all the best, Dr. Anu, and go ahead.
Well, sir, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your support and encouragement. And we are truly grateful for your presence today.
Thank
And
you.
now it's my immense pleasure to introduce our speaker for tonight, Dr. Anu ma'am. Dr. Anu ma'am is a renowned expert in conservative dentistry and endodontics, and currently she's serving as associate professor at Index Institute of Dental Science, Indore. Her impressive credentials include a fellow of prestigious Pere Fauchard Academy, USA. A sought-after speaker, Dr. Anu ma'am has been invited to share her expertise at various national as well as international platforms. Her contribution to the field have been recognized with patents and copyrights to her credits, and her accolades includes being named the Young Achiever 2020 by Indian Association of Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics and receiving Research Grant Award in 2019 from ISCDE. I welcome Dr. Anu ma'am to share her insights on the topic 3D cleaning and shaping. Ma'am, the platform is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vishaka, for such a lovely introduction. Also, I would like to thank Medical Aura community for giving me this opportunity on the National Cons Endo Day, which is celebrated on 5th March and celebrated throughout the week, where we are celebrating the efforts made by conservative dentists and endodontists in curing or saving the tooth and curing the pain of the patient like a hero in less than an hour. So also today is National Dentist Day. So who all have joined, I would like to wish you all National Dentist Day. And before I begin with my presentation, right now, all the people that you can see on the screen are the people who are very close to my heart. These are like passionate dentists, passionate endodontists who are practicing at different corners of India and outside India also. So these are the people who motivate me, who are way too motivated than me, and they uplift the endodontics also, and they are coming tomorrow, day after tomorrow. There are 3 more lectures that are left, but these are the people who are always standing besides me. So these are gem of the people who are standing next to me all the time. So uh, now coming over to my today's presentation, it is on 3D cleaning and shaping. So I'll be covering more on the cleaning aspect, which is an evidence-based update. When I'm saying it is an evidence-based, I'll be whatever I have put in this presentation. Dr. Vishal Gandhi has gone through it. Other than that, there is a literature that is supporting what I have put in this presentation. Also, it is a clinical update because I have put clinical cases. We can discuss them, and they have followed the same 3D protocols as given by the 3D cleaning project. So you guys know me, I'm working as an associate professor at Index College. This is brief about me, and I love mentoring and giving lectures. And currently I am residing in the cleanest city of Indore, the cleanest city of India, which is Indore. And this is where I'm working in the morning, my college. And evening, I am at my clinic where I'm performing the root canals. And this person is my better and sometimes my bitter half. Like, he's always supporting me. Right now also, he has joined this webinar. And now, my today's presentation is also a tribute to somebody who has given us enormous knowledge about cleaning and shaping. Now, his contribution to the endodontics is unmatched. Professor Herbert Schilder, sir, and also the best mentor and the friend I could get. Now, cleaning and shaping is the most critical aspect of your endodontic procedure. Now, what is cleaning? When I say cleaning, it is basically you are removing all the contents of your root canal system. Now, it could be organic substrates, microflora, some endotoxins, some bacterial byproducts, caries, pulp stones, or some previous root canal filling material or dentinal fillings from the root canal preparation. So you want to remove all that from your root canal space. For that purpose, we are doing shaping. So when we are doing shaping, we are following 5 mechanical objectives of shaping. So basically, those given by Schilder, we need to have a continuous taper, foramen as narrow as possible. But what is the reason of shaping? We want to facilitate our irrigant to flow throughout the entire root canal system. Also, in order to facilitate the obturation or the material to flow and seal the root canal system 3-dimensionally. So basically, there have been revolutionary changes in the armamentarium for the shaping purpose. And still we have root canals that are failing, and still we have root canals with very poor prognosis. Because when we are discussing, it looks simple, but it is not that simple, because your root canal anatomy is far more complex. Even if with the advancement of different instrumenting system, we are not able to reach to entire corners of your root canal anatomy, because we have a lot of variations. We have lateral canals. The apical 1/3 has nearly 73.5% of lateral canals. So these are nothing but horizontal, vertical, or lateral exits, but they have a huge amount of your pulp tissue. We have isthmus. Isthmus is nothing but ribbon-like communication between two canal system, but this has dense amount of pulp tissue. So it is not just the canal that we need to clean. We need to clean these areas as well. We have recurrent loops, a very small tiny canal originating from the main canal and then again merging into the same canal. So we have recurrent loops. We have apical delta. So all these areas are the areas where no matter how good my file is, how advanced my file system is, it won't be able to reach. So even what is my file doing? What is my file system doing? It is creating a round space. A tapered, good tapered flow preparation is happening, but it is just a metal. Your metal cannot kill bacteria. Your metal cannot eliminate biofilm. It cannot eliminate the microorganisms that are. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
So these file systems cannot eliminate the microorganisms that are residing deeper into your dentinal tubules. See, this is one of the study by Sequeira. It is a microcomputed tomography based analysis in which they have evaluated the unprepared area. So if we look in terms of premolars, nearly 34.6% or 17.6%, which is a huge value, is unprepared. That is, your file is not able to go and clean. Your file is not able to penetrate. So in these areas where your file is not able to go and do the shaping, what is going to penetrate? I just want to take a break for 1 minute. I hope there is no disturbance. So these areas where your file cannot reach, this is where what will reach. Whatever protocols that we take, I can complete the 3D protocols in 2 slides. But I want all of you to understand each and every step, starting from the volume to concentration to the agitation, intracanal heating, and the reasoning behind. Because when we know the reasoning behind, we are able to manage better. So in these areas, these inaccessible areas where your file is not able to reach, is the areas where your irrigant will be reaching. So first point that I want all of you to answer, what is the most common irrigating solution that we use? I'll be waiting for your reply in the, okay. See, everybody has replied sodium hypochlorite, but I'll be very frank. In India, the most common irrigating solution is saliva. So every time your patient is on dental chair, the patient gets up, you're doing the access opening, and the patient, what is happening? The entire chamber is getting filled with the saliva. So, and that with that saliva, you are taking your orifice opener, you are enlarging your orifice, and you are cleaning, doing the shaping part with the saliva. So when you are following the 3D cleaning protocols and you are not using a rubber dam, and then you say, I don't know why it is not working, the first and the primary requirement that is to be done is that you need to use rubber dam, because you are using n number of irrigants, and if you are not using rubber dam, then you are adding one more irrigant to your irrigation protocol, that is nothing but saliva. So you need to use rubber dam. And this is one small tip that you can do is when you have applied the rubber dam, you clean your rubber dam sheet, because we are doing 3D disinfection, we are doing 3D cleaning. So it start at the very basic step of disinfecting your sheet. when you are starting with your case. So you can disinfect your rubber dam sheet with alcohol. And the first step is always use the rubber dam. You need to isolate because you are using n number of irrigants. So this is a survey that was done by Gopi Krishna sir, and it were there were participants were your postgraduate students and endodontic faculty, and it was asked what is the primary irrigant they are using. So the major primary irrigant that is being used is 92.8% sodium hypochlorite, followed by EDTA and then chlorhexidine. So first of all, your another step in your 3D protocol is that you know what primary irrigant you have to use. You have n number of factors pertaining to that irrigant, but if you are eliminating sodium hypochlorite from your protocols, then you are not cleaning your root canal anatomy. You are not doing justice to your root canal. So sodium hypochlorite is your primary irrigant. Now, when we are using different irrigants, what do we want to serve? First is we need to reach to those inaccessible areas. They are nothing but the isthmus, the lateral canals, the apical delta. But what do we want to do in those areas? We want to have a chemical effect. Kill the bacteria, kill their byproducts, kill the endotoxin, remove all the remnants, and at the same time, we want a flushing action of all the debris that could be left. So you have a mechanical reasoning, you have a chemical reasoning. For the chemical reasoning, your primary irrigant is sodium hypochlorite along with chlorhexidine. And for the mechanical effect, you have saline and EDTA. So the major protocol lies in understanding your sodium hypochlorite. Your sodium hypochlorite is effective when you are using in high concentration. Your sodium hypochlorite is effective when you are using it in more volume. So wherever I have put this green tick, that means these points are the one that you need to keep in your mind when you are doing the patient, because it is more of the volume than the concentration. Because the moment you put your sodium hypochlorite in the canal, your dentine has a buffering ability. What it do, it neutralizes your sodium hypochlorite, the free chlorine ions, which are actually destroying your bacteria. So what happens, you need to use more and more and more amount, more and more volume of sodium hypochlorite along with higher concentration, because higher concentration will have a higher efficacy. Then your sodium hypochlorite is able to penetrate deep into your dentinal tubules. But if somebody asks me for how long you are irrigating, see, people can irrigate for a longer time, and longer you are doing the irrigation, the better result you are going to attain. So there are practitioners, we have practitioners who claim, and with good clinical cases like Dr. Jaydev, who state that they are actually irrigating each canal for half an hour. So it is something which varies from practitioner to practitioner, but something which cannot be avoided is a high concentration hypochlorite in a good amount, good volume. And the major reason we go for hypochlorite is because it has got the ability to remove the biofilm. And the most important aspect, another important aspect, is the retention. So when I say retention, if you are using file system that has got multiple sequence, a sequence of file, that means with each file going into the canal, you are using sodium hypochlorite. So the retention time, the time for which the sodium hypochlorite is coming in contact with your root canal space, root canal complexity, root canal wall is increasing. So the studies, they say if you are using high volume of irrigant, because every time we need to replenish our sodium hypochlorite, and the more amount of time it is in contact with the canal wall will have a better outcome. So these things are need to be kept in mind, that I need to be using rubber dam because I am using sodium hypochlorite at a very high concentration, and I'm not using rubber dam. This will cause burns to my patient. This will go into the patient throat, and we need to use rubber dam. We need to disinfect our rubber dam sheet. We need to choose our irrigant wisely. We need to know that sodium hypochlorite is the one irrigant that is serving all our problems. Now, if I talk about biofilm, biofilm is basically a community of bacteria. It's an organized community. There's a skeletal framework and which is having extracellular polysaccharide. So whatever literature that is available to us, considering the three primary irrigants, sodium hypochlorite, EDTA, and chlorhex, it has been found that hypo is the only irrigant which is able to remove our biofilm. EDTA is not able to remove. It is effective on a weaker biofilm without extracellular polysaccharide, without a skeletal framework. And chlorhex is not removing the biofilm. It is just rearranging the structure of your biofilm. So first step is to understand that hypo is irreversible, and there are ways to use the hypo. You have to use it in a higher volume, at a higher concentration, in a more retentive way, so that it is within the canal for a longer period of time. So what 3D protocol is telling us is to deal with the hypochlorite in 4 different ways. Like, how can we improve the efficacy of the sodium hypochlorite, which is our primary irrigant? First of all is you need to do the warming, the heating, intracanal heating of your sodium hypochlorite. That is also one of the step that you follow while doing the 3D cleaning. You need to activate. I know hypochlorite is going to clean my dentinal tubules, but how will it clean? Only when it will penetrate into my dentinal tubule. If it is going and killing the bacteria that are hiding deep inside the tubule, then only I will have a successful result. Then I need to refresh it, because it loses its efficacy every time because it is coming in contact with dentine is having a buffering action. So every time I need to change my sodium hypochlorite, and the retention time, the exposure time, the duration in which it is in contact. So when I say I have to heat, I have to do the intracanal heating. So this is what I am doing, and this is what the 3D projects, 3D cleaning project state. You can use a system B also, or any downpack device that you have with you. What you have to do, you have to heat it inside the chamber, inside the chamber of the tooth that you are treating, because the studies they have compared that when we are heating hypo outside and when we are heating inside the canal, it has been observed the moment you are putting sodium hypochlorite, which is heated outside, it comes down to the body temperature and it loses its efficacy. It is not able to be as efficient as it is when you are doing the intracanal. It has got increased ability to destroy the microorganism and to dissolve the organic tissues. So this is how I do. So see, your downpack unit, it is coming with different tip sizes. So you can use the smallest one and you put it in the chamber. You will not try to penetrate deep into the canal, because it won't. Like it, rather it may wedge along with the wall. So you will try to put it in, keep it till the chamber. So you will be heating till 180 degrees Celsius for nearly 6 to 8 seconds. And what you can do is you can move it up and down nearly 2 to 3 mm. So basically you need to use a smaller size, and you need to activate it for you need to heat it for 6 to 8 seconds. Now the next step is ultrasonic activation. So for improving the efficacy of hypo, first of all we are doing first of all we are using hypo. We are using hypo in a greater volume, because volume is far more important. We are using it at a higher concentration because the efficacy is getting improved. Now other ways of improving the efficacy is doing the intracanal heating. Now followed by intracanal heating, now I know, like, I have increased the efficacy, but I wanted to go deeper. So when I am activating, what is happening? We are doing acoustic streaming and cavitation. So there is there is bubble formation, that is they are forming, they are colliding, and what is happening because of this turbulence, they are penetrating deeper. We will be activating both our irrigants, sodium hypochlorite also and EDTA also. So when I am activating EDTA, what is it doing? It is removing the smear layer. Now what is smear layer? When I am instrumenting a canal, I am doing the shaping parts. With every aspect, what is happening? A layer of debris is getting accumulated over my dentinal tubule. A smear layer is being getting formed. What the smear layer will do? It will not let my hypo to penetrate, and all my bacteria are hiding behind. So what I am gonna do? I'm gonna put EDTA. I'm gonna activate. So what will happen? The smear layer will get removed. Then I'm going to put hypo, I'm going to heat it so that its efficacy is now increased. Now I'm going to activate it. So it will penetrate and go and kill the bacteria that are hiding inside. So activation is a very important aspect. You can use sonic activation. You can use ultrasonic activation. Ultra X is what I am using. But there are cases like you have a curved canal. If you have a curvature, your Ultra X tip will not penetrate deeper. So in those cases, you can go with sonic activation because they have poly fiber tips. The activation tips, they are very flexible. Unlike the ultrasonic tips that you get with Ultra X, we cannot bend them into the curvature. So in those scenarios, for the activation, you can go with the sonic activation, but activation is important so that your hypo penetrate, because the areas where your file will not reach, your irrigant will reach. But to make your irrigant reach to those areas, you have to make your irrigant strong and you have to push it in those areas. So those areas are nothing. We have discussed your lateral canals, your isthmus, your apical delta, or your collateral canals, or all those areas. Even if you are very good at scouting the lateral canals, there will be areas that like in case of C-shaped canal or in case of isthmus areas, there you need to have a good activation device, and you need to follow your 3D protocols. So now another factor pertaining to hypo is that if I want to retain hypo and my access cavity is not proper, so how will that hypo retain within the chamber? So pre-endo buildup, even if you do it temporarily with liquid rubber dam, or you are doing it properly, is very important, because only then when you are doing pre-endo buildup, your entire hypo will be inside the chamber for a longer period of, it will act as a reservoir. So every time it will be able to replenish it, because see, you are using hypo. Yeah, you are using hypochlorite for each and every root canal procedure. Still, your outcome is not proper, because there are factors pertaining to hypo that you need to keep in mind in each and every case. Like you need to do pre-endo buildup, so we have a reservoir for the hypo to stay. Then we need to increase the efficacy of the hypo with each and every step, whether it is activation, whether it is intracanal heating. Now, EDTA, the role I have already told. The primary irrigant was hypo. We cannot work without it. Then the secondary irrigant is your EDTA. Again, we cannot work without it, because if we are not using EDTA, our hypo won't be able to act properly, because जहां जाके आपके hypo को काम करना है, वहां तक वो तभी पहुंचेगा जब EDTA अपना काम करेगा. Now, at this step, I want to ask you guys, how many of you are using RC prep? How many of you apply your EDTA gel to each and every file that you are using, and then you insert it into the canal? How many of you are using at this moment when you are performing root canal procedure? How many of you are using EDTA to prepare the canal? See, very good. Dr. Rinku has said she is using only if it is calcified, justified, totally justified. But if you are using EDTA gel at this moment to shape your canal, then this is the biggest blunder that you are doing, because there are literature that is stating that if you are using EDTA with each and every file, you are increasing the susceptibility of that file to get separated into the canal. So you don't have to use RC prep now. The only way you need to use EDTA now is in the aqueous form, in the liquid form. Okay, so you need to be using it in the liquid form. So when I'm saying I need to use 17%, it is in the liquid form, so that the smear layer, the one which is hindering the hypo to penetrate deeper, has to be removed. Okay, so for those organic debris, because anyhow biofilm is removed only with hypo and not with EDTA. EDTA is basically your chelator that is doing the chelation part, removing the inorganic debris and exposing your dentinal tubules, which are having your microorganism. So that when we are talking about the key points that we need to be keeping in mind is, let's not forget about hypo, hypo strength, hypo volume, hypo retention, hypo replenishing, hypo activation, hypo heating. But all these factors pertaining to hypo is possible if you are using 17% EDTA. So be very genuine to yourself that how many of you are actually using EDTA, 17% liquid EDTA in your practice. Most of you or majority of dentists are doing what? They're using hypo mixed with saline, and that's it. That is the irrigating solution that everyone is using, because that will not serve our purpose. Our purpose will be served only if we are following a sequence and we understand that sequence. कि मुझे हाइपो क्यों चाहिए, मुझे हाइपो कितनी क्वांटिटी में चाहिए, मुझे हाइपो कितनी देर के लिए चाहिए, मुझे हाइपो की एफिकेसी बढ़ाने के लिए क्या करना है. And I have done everything pertaining to hypo, but still I have this hypo is not able to reach. So that we can do, because see, EDTA gel, we'll be discussing about EDTA gel. There's something new, that new protocol regarding apical surgery has also come, where we are using EDTA gel. See, when we are using gel, something in gel form and something in aqueous form. Gel form, when we are using, we don't want it to spread or flow everywhere. So that is one reason. But when you are continuously using the gel with the file, you are weakening the, reducing its, affecting its fracture, affecting fracture resistance of that file. So that is the reason we said the purpose for EDTA was to chelate the wall, to cause chelation and to remove the smear layer. So why are we keep on rubbing it along with the file system? And putting the EDTA in chamber will not serve any function. Every irrigant, why I'm going so slow is that we let us understand hypo is needed, क्योंकि हमारे बैक्टीरिया छुप के बैठे हैं. कहाँ बैठे हैं? इस्थमस में बैठे हैं. कहाँ बैठे हैं? टिब्यूल में डीप पेनिट्रेट हो गए, क्योंकि नेक्रोटिक टूथ था तो बहुत बैक्टीरिया का लोड ज्यादा था तो और अंदर चले गए. बट ईडीटी का, जैसे डॉक्टर रिंकू सेड दैट वी नीडेड टू ब्रेक कैल्सिफिकेशन. उस पॉइंट पे we need to break the calcification, we need to go deeper, reach the apex, तो we are using EDTA gel. बट चेम्बर में यूज करने का कोई पर्पस नहीं. तो EDTA तो हम इसलिए यूज कर रहे हैं, हमें स्मेयर लेयर रिमूव करनी है, तो हम उसको एक्वस फॉर्म में यूज करते हैं. अदरवाइज अगर हम फाइल के साथ यूज कर रहे हैं, देन इट इज वीकनिंग आवर फाइल. सी, now we know we have these irrigants, hypo and EDTA is mandatory, and we'll be talking about the sequence deeply. But now how to deliver it into the canal? Rubber dam was mandatory, hypo is mandatory with all its factors, EDTA is mandatory with its concentration and activation. Now how will you take that hypo and EDTA into the canal space? So what with positive pressure irrigation we are doing, that is something that is feasible in the clinic at this stage, is that I am using this syringe with a rubber stopper. So why I am using a rubber stopper? I'm using a 30 gauge side vented close end needle. We'll be discussing why side vented, why close ended, and I'm using with rubber dams because I'm using with rubber stopper. The reason being, I want to control my working length because I am delivering something into a close confined space that opens into a periapical area. Anything going beyond will cause damage to my periapical area, to my periodontium, and will have a reverse effect of that. Okay, we can have a flare up. Patient coming in between your appointments with even severe pain that was before. So this is the unit that you need to maintain for your irrigation. So you need to have a syringe, a smaller volume ml syringe, a 30 gauge needle, and a stopper. Now, why I said we need a smaller syringe is the reason being, I said we need to use more volume of hypo to irrigate the canal because more volume will be giving a better result. But that doesn't mean we use big, huge syringes because the moment you are increasing the area, the moment you will increase the area, the pressure with which the irrigant is flowing in the canal will fall. And if you don't have a good pressure, your flow will not be good. So you need a good pressure to be there so that you have a good flow rate and your irrigant is going very smoothly in a linear flow is there. There's no haphazard turbulence. We are creating turbulence later for the penetration. But when we are flowing the irrigant, we want it to go straight down. And for that linear flow, we need to use a syringe which is of a smaller, it's a smaller cc. Like you can use 5 ml syringe or a smaller syringe. You will not go with the bigger one. So another important thing for you to understand is the needle, the kind of needle that you are using. Because we have needles that are open-ended, that are side-vented, that are closed. So you need to understand the needle that you are using in your practice. So a most important point is to apply a rubber stopper. Never forget, because that will actually, because if your hypo goes beyond, you will land up with hypo accident. There will be even the consequences will be even severe. So it is important to understand the needle that you are using. Now let us understand, since it's an evidence-based update, what is being recommended. So if you are using an open-ended needle, you have a needle that is open. Okay, so what will happen? The studies, they have said that whatever irrigant that whether it is saline for flushing or hypo or it is EDTA, it will be delivered in next 3 mm just ahead of your tip. So this will happen if you have an open-ended and if you have a close-ended. The end is closed. For example, you have an open apex case. You don't want your irrigant to extrude out. So what will you do? You will go with the closed apex syringe. So in those scenarios, the maximum delivery is till the 1 mm. So this is not open-ended are not recommended as such in the clinical practice. It is always recommended that we go with the closed-ended side-vented needles, which is delivering just 1 mm ahead of your delivery tip. So here what I have said that what I am using is a 30 gauge side-vented closed needle. So all of you know why we are going with the closed needle, because it is safer. Nothing is going beyond our apex, beyond the apex. Then we are using a side-vented. And another thing is 30 gauge, because we want it to penetrate deeper into your canal space. So if like I'll ask one thing, how many, like what is the most common preparation? See, preparation, because today we are not discussing more on we are not discussing shaping, we are not discussing file system, we are not discussing metallurgy, we are not discussing about different hybrid preparations, zonal preparations, or different file tapers also. But this is something that I'll say that mostly people are doing preparation which is either 25/6, 25/4. So if you are not using a 30 gauge needle, if you are using what other dentists are using, or mostly people prefer because they are cheaper, if you are using a 23 gauge open-ended needle, the diameter it approximately have is 0.67 mm. And the preparation that you are doing of your canal is 2506. So that is your tip diameter. The diameter that you are creating, that is 0.25. So every 1 mm you are going behind, at 1 mm short it is going to be 0.31, because it is 0.06 taper. 2 mm short it is going to be 0.37. So the maximum a 23 gauge needle which has a diameter of 0.37 is able to penetrate into your canal space is nearly 6 to 7 mm short of your working length. So something which is 6 to 7 short of your working length will never be able to deliver, even if it is an open-ended needle. So I have already told you, a open-ended needle will deliver nearly 3 mm ahead. Even after that, we'll have a most critical zone, your apical zone. If you remember in the beginning, we have discussed, we have 75.13% of lateral canals or the accessory canals in the apical 1/3. So this zone, which is the most critical zone or the dead zone, is where your hypo is not reaching. So the reason we started with the 3D protocol was to deliver sodium hypochlorite in this area, and now your hypo is not able to reach because of your wrong selection of the needle. So needle is selecting your delivery system is far more important, because you have selected the right irrigant, you are using the right concentration, right volume, you have the activation device with you, you have the down pack, but you are using a wrong gauge needle, your purpose will not be solved. So you need to use 30 gauge needle that is delivering 1 to 2 mm short, and it has to be a close-ended needle. So close-ended side-vented needle. So this is what is being suggested. And to use the 30 gauge needle till your working length, you need to have a preparation which is either size 30 or 35. Because our purpose is to clean this most critical zone, and to reach till this zone, we need to have a preparation which is at least 30 or 35. So now I know everything. I know my material. मुझे पता चल गया मुझे क्या करना है, मुझे किस सीक्वेंस में करना है, मुझे क्या इरिगेंट यूज करना है, मुझे उसको कैसे और स्ट्रॉन्गर बनाना है. But then also sometimes we fail. So the reason that we fail is because of few challenges that need to be prevented, or if they have happened, they are sometimes unavoidable. So one of them is apical vapor lock. Now, what is this apical vapor lock? The moment you are delivering sodium hypochlorite into the canal and it is reacting with the pulp, the organic tissue, there are gases like carbon dioxide or ammonia that is getting produced. So these gases, they form bubble. Now this bubble, what it do, it gets stuck into the apical. That is the reason it is a apical lock. The bubble is present in the apical area, and whatever irrigant that you are delivering, even with the 30 gauge needle, even at the correct working length, it will not penetrate. So it will not penetrate in that area, and there will be a apical vapor lock. So there was this very good study that was done. So they evaluated what size, to what depth we should be using, what size of the syringe we should be using, at what flow rate we should use to prevent this vapor lock to happen. Because if you are very if you are putting your irrigant at a very turbulent flow, very fast, using a higher volume syringe, a 20 ml syringe, and then irrigating using a 30 gauge needle and a 20 ml syringe, what will happen? You will have a turbulent flow, and that turbulent flow will lead to a apical vapor lock formation. So it is said that in 48% of the cases, apical vapor lock is formed. Like 48%, like almost 50% of all the root canals everybody is doing, we are creating a bubble at the apical area, which is not letting our useful irrigants to penetrate. ma'am, Dr. Rinku, this will depend upon the working length. So the rubber stopper that we are using is basically to decide is for our reference only how deep we are going into the canal. So it will be depend on the canal you are treating. So if my canal length is something and I want to keep it 2 mm short, if my syringe I know is open at the end, so what will I do? I'll keep 3 to 4 mm short, because I'll keep 4 mm short, because I know at least till 3 mm this syringe will deliver. So that is for our reference, the rubber stopper. So when you are using an open-ended needle, you are positioning it close to the working length, and you are maintaining a higher flow rate. This vapor lock, the bubble, which is blocking the penetration of irrigant, won't be formed. Now imagine a situation where it is getting formed. You have already created a apical vapor lock. So what we can do which is convenient to us, is we can do manual dynamic agitation. So what is manual dynamic agitation? You are using the master cone, the master cone for the canal. You are putting hypo, and you are giving up and down push, that is nearly 100 per minute. So you keep on doing to eliminate. And the best method to do is either you go with the activation techniques, like you can use Ultra X, but the best way to is then go for a negative pressure system. So right now, till now, we are discussing all the positive pressure systems. So now another important aspect that we have not discussed is, you need hypo, you need EDTA, you need to activate both of them. You need to do the intracanal heating of the hypo, and you need to follow all those protocols. But what if there is lack of knowledge to understand that all the irrigants that you are using, you should never let them interact? Every time, before we have discussed, we need two effects. We need a chemical effect, we need a mechanical effect. Mechanical is nothing. With the pressure, we need flushing of all the debris or the irrigant. Chemical, we need biofilm, endotoxin, byproducts, everything to be eliminated. So you put hypo to dissolve your organic tissue, and the very next movement you put EDTA to remove the smear layer. Now what will happen? First of all, your EDTA and hypo will interact, and what will they do? They will form a precipitate. Your hypo efficacy will be gone, will be decreased, and whatever precipitate that is being formed, it will block your dentinal tubules. So next time, in the next step, the moment you are activating hypo, you are heating hypo, there's no point, it will not go deeper. So your Chlorhex interacts with EDTA, your Chlorhex react with hypo, your EDTA interacts with sodium hypochlorite. See, Chlorhex you do not use in each and every case, because it is not dealing with biofilm, it is just modifying the biofilm. You will only use chlorhexidine only condition when you are either doing obturation with the resin based sealer, one thing, because it inhibits MMPs. This is something which we can discuss in some other webinar. But if we talk about the disinfection efficacy, the chlorhexidine is not giving you, is not removing your biofilm. The one property that is very important in terms of chlorhex is this property of substantivity. That is utilized when you have a lesion associated, or you want the utilize this property, then you can use chlorhex as a final rinse. But no matter what, your EDTA and hypo is irreplaceable. You cannot replace your EDTA, you cannot replace your hypo. We have etidronate that is being introduced, that is HEBP, where HEBP and sodium hypochlorite can be used together. You don't have to use any flushing agent like saline and water in between. But even the literature is not as solid as the literature that is supporting the sole use of sodium hypochlorite, then flushing either saline or distilled water, followed by use of EDTA to remove your smear layer. So you need to understand the sequence so that you don't land up in spoiling the procedure in yourself. You are following all the protocols, you have the all the armamentarium, but still you yourself have blocked the dentinal tubules, that now your hypo is no longer able to act. So this is how a traditional syringe irrigation and 3D cleaning was compared, and it was found, if you can see in group 2, how well your dentinal tubules are opened, very well cleaned, exposed, and all the microorganisms that were inside, they're all gone. So basically, you need to have, we'll be discussing the steps of 3D protocols. We have already discussed the small steps that are included in the 3D cleaning protocols, but now we need to align them together. So you know everything. This is how you will end up when you are doing the 3D cleaning. So now coming to the protocols, the first thing that we had discussed is that we need to build a, okay. So we will do a pre-endo buildup. Pre-endo buildup will do what? It will create a reservoir. Once we have a reservoir, we will start with our root canal procedure. We'll create a hypobath. Whatever shaping we are doing it in the present. The first irrigant that is going into the canal, the irrigant that will destroy organic tissue is your sodium hypochlorite, 5.25%, because higher concentration, higher efficacy. Then once we have done the shaping, with each file a fresh sodium hypochlorite going into the canal, next thing is we'll clean it off, we'll flush it off, because we don't want our sodium hypochlorite to interact with EDTA. Otherwise, that will block our dentinal tubules. We will flush with either normal saline or distilled water. Then we will remove the smear layer that we have created. How we have created? With the shaping, with the different sequence of rotary files. So we'll use 17% EDTA in 1 ml in each canal, and we'll activate. We'll activate for 1 minute either with sonic or with the ultrasonic, so that the smear layer is getting disrupted and it is getting it, so that we can get rid of it. Then we will again do the flushing, because now we need to again use sodium hypochlorite, because sodium hypochlorite has dissolved our pulp tissue that was in the canal. Now sodium hypochlorite will kill the bacteria that are in those inaccessible zone. So now in the next step, what we will do is we will fill all the canals and the chamber with the with sodium hypochlorite, and we'll do the intracanal heating. And we'll do it for 6 to 8 seconds, 6 to 8 seconds, followed by the activation again with Ultra X for 20 to 30 seconds. Now, after this, we'll wait for 1 minute, and all the steps that we had followed. That is, again, we will do the flushing, we will use EDTA, we will activate, then again we put the hypochlorite, then we'll do the intracanal heating of the hypochlorite, followed by activation of the hypochlorite. We will repeat that 5 times. At least we'll repeat that 5 times in each canal. And once we have done this, our canals are ready to be obturated. Now, this is the point where we will dry the canal. Now, this is a very important step. I don't know, I don't believe like this is being discussed, like it is being not being discussed mostly, but you need to dry your canals with isopropyl alcohol. We have isopropyl alcohol, Circamed ka aata hai, it is available. You put 1 to 2 drops in each canal, and you wait. Instead of like drying with the paper point at this point, you dry the canal using isopropyl alcohol, and you wait for 30 seconds to 1 minute. After that, you put your paper points, and now your canal is ready to be obturated. So this is these 2 slides are basically summarizing all your 3D cleaning protocols. But importance of each step is far more like elaborate, like why pre-endo buildup, because that is giving retention to the your hypo. Why hypo at this concentration? Why intracanal cleaning of hypo? Why activation of EDTA? Why not EDTA and hypo together? Why a flushing saline or distilled water in between? Because after this lecture, try to summarize, try to visualize the route steps that you are following. Are you using 3 different syringes for saline, for hypo, for EDTA? And I'll be very frank. The earlier root canals, even during my PGs, we used to use one syringe with hypo. अरे dilute कर दिया saline के साथ, because we are not using rubber dam. So it is basically 90% saline with 10% hypo, which is also 2.5 to 3%. So we are nothing but we are giving, we are just bacteria smiling at the syringe that is every time going into the canal and smiling that मैं तो अभी भी अंदर ही हूँ, मैं तो अभी भी अंदर ही बैठा हूँ, I am not going anywhere. So it is important to understand all these steps. Now, now we have done all the cleaning part. Before moving on to the obturating part, like we disinfected our rubber dam sheet, at this point we need to disinfect our gutta percha points, because even our GP points could be the carrier of microorganisms. So you need, by the time you are preparing, just 1 minute before, you put it into 5.25% sodium hypochlorite and make sure before inserting you wipe it with alcohol, because there are crystals that could be sodium hypochlorite crystals or residues that could be formed. But before putting that GP, we have done all the 3D protocols, but then we have put an infected GP inside. So everything goes in vain. Now, this is something, now I just want to tell you what is the protocol that I am following right now for the obturation. Is I am doing a sealer based obturation, because I am using a bioceramic sealer. So I am I am doing shaping very fast, and my focus is my 70 to 80% of my duration of root canal is focused on the irrigation 3D cleaning part, because obturation is all sealer based. Because GP is nothing, we have been using GP now for 200 years. So it is not, so it is just filling the entire vacuum, the entire empty space from the orifice till the minor constriction. So what I am doing a sealer based, bioceramic sealer based. It is cold hydraulic condensation. So what we do is I completely fill my canal space with a bioceramic sealer. The entire canal space is filled with the bioceramic sealer, and then I put a GP. This is my master cone, and here when I am doing the obturation, having a tuck bag is also not of huge importance, because this bioceramic sealer is doing what it is sealing well with the wall. It is forming hydroxyapatite mineral-like material, so it is having a good bond. And unlike our ZOE, unlike our resin-based sealer, it doesn't shrink. Rather, it shows a little bit, it is biocompatible. It is doing a very slight expansion. It is bonding. And at times when I need to get this bioceramic sealer out, what I can do, I am putting a gutta percha along with it inside. So I can do the retreatment with that gutta percha. Basically, it is forming a pathway for the retreatment. So it is totally a sealer based obturation. I am using bioceramic sealer to obturate the canal, but in the just for the retreatment purpose, we have put a GP inside that will form our pathway for the retreatment. So because bioceramic is non-toxic, bioceramic is highly biocompatible, it's a great success in healing cases that needs healing. So that is what I am doing right now. I am doing a sealer based obturation. Now, this is something that has been introduced last month. It was published in the Journal of Conservative Dentistry. The 3D cleaning project team has, Alfredo has given a 3D protocol for the apical surgery procedure, a 3D irrigation protocol to clean the retrograde cavity that we make during apical surgery. So what we were doing traditionally is that we are creating a retro preparation, and we are washing with the saline, and we are putting our retro filling that is empty. So now what they are saying is that, first of all, after doing the retro cavity preparation, we put EDTA gel, 17% EDTA gel. Now, why we are using gel here? Because we are not doing any filing of the canal. We don't want gel we don't want EDT, or even here they are using sodium hypochlorite gel for the irrigation of your retrograde cavity in the apical cavity that we make. Yeah, they are using gel because they don't want it to be spread into the osteotomy site and cause damage. So you are using 17% EDTA gel, and then what they are doing, they are activating it for 20 seconds using ultrasonic tip. Then again, they are cleaning it. After that, after the removal of EDTA gel, they are drying it with the paper point. Now they are using 5.25% of sodium hypochlorite. So this is not the protocol that was done before when we were doing apical surgery. Like I have done, I don't remember, like more than 15 surgery during my PGs with my colleagues only, Dr. Monisha, Dr. Priya. So we have never followed this protocol where we are using sodium hypochlorite gel, and we are using EDTA gel in that area. So after that, we activate the sodium hypochlorite gel and we repeat it in 3 cycles of 20 seconds. Then after cleaning it thoroughly with the saline, 2 ml of sterile saline, we dry it, and now we do the retrograde filling with MTA. So this is something that has been introduced. This case report was published last month in the Journal of Endodontics. So this is one case that I have put, but this case I have not done with this protocol, because this case was done 1.5 years back. But I just wanted to put it because these apical surgery protocols have come into existence now. But still, knowing the efficacy of hypo in disinfecting, so it is good. Why not to disinfect the apical surgical, the retrograde cavity that we are preparing in the apical area. So this is how this is all I wanted to discuss, because we have discussed all the steps that we take in the 3D protocol. So each step, whatever step we take, we have a reasoning for that. We have a reason to go with this much per concentration, this much volume, this much activation for this second, and repetition of these cycles, because literature evidence has updated that this is the time we need for the canals to be thoroughly cleaned. So this is where I would like to conclude my presentation, and we can take questions if there are any. Dr. Vishakha?
Yes, ma'am. I don't think so. There's question right now. You have already answered it in between the. Yeah, actually, there's a question by Dr. Akash Chan.
Dr. Akash, do you
When to
mean
use?
Chlorhex? See, there are 2 reasons we go with chlorhexidine. Okay, one is that it has the ability. I have already told you, and I have shown you the literature that states that chlorhexidine is doing nothing with the biofilm. It is just rearranging the biofilm. So your bacteria is still staying in the canal. Okay. The reason why we use chlorhex is we are using it as a final flush or last irrigant, because after the moment I have done the root canal, I am next thing that is going to happen is we put gutta percha with the sealer. That sealer is going to bind with the canal wall because we are doing 3D cleaning, 3D obturation. So that for that reason, the chlorhex it inhibits matrix metalloprotease. So when it is inhibiting that, your resin sealer is able to better bond with your canal wall. So that is one thing. And if you are using it it is always good to use chlorhexidine as a final wash when you have a non-healing lesion, because it has got a property of substantivity. So majority of your pulp tissue, your organic debris, everything is managed by hypo. And that hypo is carried to the microorganisms sitting deep into dentinal tubule is by your EDTA. So hypo EDTA is irreplaceable, but chlorhex is not recommended in all case scenarios. Like if you are using hypo as a final irrigant, then it interferes with bioceramic sealers. So that is also sealer interaction with the canal wall is also a huge topic. So, but chlorhexidine you use as a filler irrigant when there is a non-healing lesion, or you are commonly using AH plus as your sealer. You can go with chlorhex as a final rinse. See how long we should activate sodium hypochlorite. It is being already said. You try to keep it for seconds, because when you are activating your ultrasonic tip, at that point also your tip is getting heated. Your heat is getting generated. Your intracanal heating is also happening with your ultrasonic tip. So here what they have recommended, it is in seconds. But you repeat it. You are doing canal heating for 6 to 8 seconds and activation for 20 to 30 seconds. So try to keep it for 20 to 30 seconds, because even your tip is getting heated. So you activate for 20 to 30 seconds, you wait. No. See, you have a bioceramic sealers can be obturated, can be done even in the moist canal. And you have a better obturation happening when the canals are moist. But again, what we have discussed, if the moisture is because of the hypo, it will interfere in the bonding. So that is a separate topic that we need to understand, because if your protocols last flushing, the last irrigant that you are using to flush is greatly dependent on the sealer that you are going to use. So you can bioceramic sealer shows drying the canal is not far more important when you are sealing with, you are obturating with bioceramic sealer. Is eliminating? No, beta. Dr. Akash, chlorhexidine is doing no role. I'm telling you, E. faecalis तो सबसे जिद्दी. The reason for your root canal failure is your E. faecalis. E. faecalis को निकालने के लिए आपको हाइपो चाहिए. हाइपो को उतना स्ट्रॉन्ग बनाने के लिए कहेंगे ना कि वो कौन सा हथियार है जो हमको हाइपो को देना है. हमको हाइपो को हीट करना है, हमें हाइपो को एक्टिवेट करना है, क्योंकि ई फेकैलेंस जो है वो जाके कोने में छुपता है. सारे रीट्रीटमेंट केसेस के अंदर अगर जो भी अगर आप कोई भी देखो, आप स्टडीज करते हो जितनी भी, उसमें हम ई फेकैलिस को ही क्यों यूज करते हैं? बिकॉज सबसे जिद्दी माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म इज ई फेकैलिस. क्लोरहेक्स के लिए इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट एक मल्टी लेयर ऑर्गेनाइज कम्युनिटी को ब्रेक करना. जो एक स्केलेटल फ्रेमवर्क को वो कभी ब्रेक नहीं कर सकता. नॉट इवन ईडीटीए. ईडीटीए इंटरफेयर कर सकता है, बट इट इज ओनली हाइपो. थैंक यू सो मच. We can plan
guess
another
we
session for
are
the shaping protocols.
sure, ma'am. I guess we are done with the questions now. Yeah. ठीक है. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your insight and expertise on 3D cleaning with us today. And it was a very informative, engaging, and indeed packed with practical tips to enhance our clinical practice in endodontics. And also thanks to all the participants who are actually actively engaged in this session and participating. And with all this Q&A sessions, it was a very, very presentable and very nice session. Hoping everyone has found this session very informative, and it will improve their understanding better at 3D cleaning. I guess that's for all today, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anu ma'am.
Thank you so much everyone for attending this session, and we have really amazing 3 lectures that are going to come tomorrow. It is going to be amazing one, troubleshootings, and Dr. Monisha is going to present it. She is a great clinician with great clinical expertise. So she will be giving tips and tricks. Then we have Dr. Malika who's coming. She is again a brilliant endodontist. And Dr. Priya, she'll be presenting on post-endodontic restoration. So I would like to request you all to be there tomorrow as well. But tomorrow we'll be starting at 6. We'll be having at 6 p.m. in the evening. So
Yes, ma'am.
please try to join tomorrow also. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Akash. Thank you everyone for such wonderful comments. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everyone.